Hey my good friends, Sam Haymart with Test Driven TV. Ford gave me the Bronco for an extra week. A little bit of a surprise after I did my test drive video on it. So here we're going to talk about what are the top 10 features that I think are pretty cool. All right, my friends, so let's get right to this. We're going to start on the interior because the first three bits and pieces we're going to talk about are right here. And so the first thing I want to show you on this one is right up here on the dash is the accessory mount and power ports. This is something I wish every vehicle had, quite frankly. There is a mount right here in the center where you can put a stud or a bolt in there. You can put a camera there. You can put like a GoPro or a dash cam, a phone mount, any number of things. And I've seen some other accessories that you can expand that with that are available on the aftermarket. And most importantly, right up here is a set of USB ports so that you can power whatever it is that you're putting up there. Radar detector, charge your phone if it's sitting up here, any number of things. So you don't have to have wires hanging over the dash. I think that is awesome. Number two on the list are the accessory switches. Now, not all Broncos have these. These happen to be here on the Badlands that we have. These switches are completely fused in the main fused block, and there are leads that go to different spots around this vehicle. One up here in the visor, a couple of them under the hood, one at the rear of the vehicle, and they're powered by the ignition. So if you have a number of different accessories, whether it be lighting or other things, you can put this thing together and do a lot of those things without having to string a lot of wires everywhere and figure out how you're going to get that power. This, I think, is very cool, and it's available on a number of other trucks that Ford builds. I'm just glad they also included its availability here. Third on the list, the rubber floor and the hose out capability. Now, I've heard all my life people talking about just give me a hose out floor so that I can just get all the mud out of there and drains the whole 9 yards. Well, that's what they've given us here. Here on both sides of the front and on both sides of the rear, you have drains that you can easily pull out so that you can wash this thing out, maybe with a bucket of water or soap, or you can quite literally hose it out. That might be one of my favorite features on this thing. Number 4 on the list is the removable hardtop with removable panels. Now, the scenario I have here on this particular Bronco is the full hardtop for 4 doors, which means I have a removable panel over the driver, another one over the passenger, and another one over the second row. These 3 panels all come off quite easily by pulling a couple of levers and twisting a few locks, and off they come. There are storage bags provided that you can stick those in the back and strap them down if you're out there on the go. And you can also remove that big rear portion of the top as well. Now, that does require using some of the tools that are provided here, as well as getting an extra hand to lift the thing off and a good place to store it. Number 5 on the list, removable doors. I mean, if you're going to compete against the Wrangler, you've got to be able to pull the doors off and do it easily. And these take about 2 to 3 minutes each. It comes with tools to take them off. You simply unplug the electrical connector that powers your window and your locks. There's a little door on it that keeps that watertight for when you're really heavy-duty off-roading. And then 2 bolts right out of the hinges, and those doors come right off. There's even a lift handle on the bottom of the door to help you get it out of the way. And of course, there are storage bags provided so that you can store those in bags and take them with you if you're on the go. And I've seen in the aftermarket, there's also tube doors that are now becoming available for this thing so that you can still have this opening, yet a little bit of safety. Number 6 on the list, removable fender flares. All 4 of these fender flares are removable without tools. Twist 5 locks, off they come. Great for if you're out there off-roading and you just don't want to tear the things up, or maybe you're doing some modding and you just want to switch them out. Off they come, easy as that. That's a great feature, I think, but worries me just a little bit if maybe you've got some sticky-fingered kids or adults in your neighborhood and you leave the thing out in your driveway at night. If you don't take them off, you might want to bolt those things on. Now, when I first got this truck, I was sort of looking at these going, what in the hell are those? They look like gun sights from behind the wheel. They do provide some nice visual markers for almost the corner of your vehicle, although they're not right there. But really what they're for is tying down gear. So if you've got kayaks or a canoe on a rack up on top, you can use those to tie that down up front, up to 150 pounds of pressure they can take. They can also be used for guy wires if you're going to string a wire up to a rack, so that when you're out there off-roading and you've got branches, you can keep those branches from hitting your windshield when they're swinging around. They're pretty useful items that, well, they kind of have a cool look, but they also have a purpose. Number 8 on the list is this modular bumper. Now, it's available on the Bronco. This is a bumper that's made out of steel, has removable end caps, and they cut down a little bit so that you can actually take those off and give yourself a little bit more leeway when you're out there off-roading and crawling over rocks. The center section also allows for the installation of a winch. And so you can sort of mix and match in a number of different ways with this factory bumper to mod this thing the way you want it, and use this thing the way you want it without having to go all the way with an aftermarket bumper. Now we're going to move to powertrain and capability. Number 9 on the list, equipped here in this one, is the disconnecting sway bar. Very important if you really do a lot of heavy duty off-roading, because a good sway bar on any vehicle keeps this thing handling really well when you're on the street. Gives you roll control so that it's not roly-poly, and it allows Ford to tune this thing to handle really well on the street, but give you the capability you need off-road by having some extra articulation, particularly with those front wheels. And so by disconnecting this, you just press the button. It works below 20 miles an hour to turn it on, and it disconnects the sway bar automatically. It will re-engage at 25 miles an hour, but that gives you the ability to really get some very easy maneuverability, some twist, some articulation in that front suspension that would otherwise be a bit of a fight for the suspension. So if you're doing off-roading and you've had this in other vehicles, you know how important it is. Number 10 on the list, equally important in my mind. Here on this Bronco, I have front and rear electronic locking differentials, controllable right here on the dash. Nice switch bank across the top here. The thing about lockers that's very important to me is they are the real deal. It's a hardware lock that keeps those wheels right to left exactly the same speed. So if you have one wheel that has no traction at all, is spinning in the air, that will send all of the torque to both wheels and get you out of that situation. And so these are both controllable independently. You can have the front or rear or both. And it really just gives you the flexibility that some of the software systems, even though they're really good, that will take that spinning wheel and clamp the brakes on it and send the power to the other, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. Having lockers just really gives you the flexibility and on-demand capability to really get yourself strategically out of some of those situations that we find ourselves in when we're out there off-roading. Now, these can be summoned automatically by down here on the center console, setting your different GOAT modes. Some of those will actually engage that. They work up to 25 miles an hour before they disengage. You have to be going below 20 miles an hour to turn them on. I love them. I think every serious off-road vehicle should have real front and rear lockers. And this one does. All right, my friends, there you go for what I think are the top 10 features that the Bronco offers. Now, obviously, this is a pretty well-loaded model, and not all the Broncos have all of these things, and there are some Broncos that have things that I didn't point out here. These are just the things that caught my eye and I thought were pretty neat if you were going to be living with this thing. So there you go. Now, if you want to see the test drive, right there, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel right down there. Either way, stay tuned.